All right, let's talk Manchester City versus Nottingham Forest. Now, on the surface, this one looks like a pretty standard win for a team chasing the title, right? But if you dig just a little deeper past that final score, the numbers tell a way more interesting story about the tactics at play. So the final score was 2-1 to Manchester City. A close one, a tough win on the road at the City ground. Seems pretty straightforward, doesn't it?
So, the big question is, was this really a nail-biter, or does the data show something totally different? Like a story of complete dominance that the score just doesn't capture? Well, that's exactly what we're going to get into.
First things first, let's start with the most basic element of the game. Who had the ball? You're about to see just how completely Manchester City dictated the pace of this match. Okay, so the foundation for everything City does, it starts right here, with the ball. They had it for about 2/3 of the entire game. I mean, just think about that for a second. For every 1 minute Forest had the ball, City had it for 2. This wasn't really a fight for possession, it was just City being in control. And that one stat pretty much tells you the whole tactical story. You had 2 totally different game plans. City were all about patience, methodically breaking Forest down with tons of short, precise passes. Meanwhile, Forest were just set up to soak it all in and try to hit back fast and direct on the counter.
And here's the proof in the pudding. City didn't just attempt more passes, they attempted more than double what Forest did. And look at that accuracy, 91%. That level of precision, that sheer volume, that is the absolute hallmark of a Pep Guardiola team. Now, here's the really crucial part. All that passing around wasn't just for looks. It led to this. City created 3 times as many goal-scoring chances as Forest did. They were just relentless, constantly knocking on the door, always asking questions of that Forest backline. Okay, so if City were that dominant, how in the world did Forest keep this a 1-goal game? This is where things get really interesting. Let's look at how Forest's pure grit almost earned them a massive point. Now, this is where it gets fascinating. So even though City created 3 times more chances, their expected goals, that's the metric that tells you the quality of those chances, was just 0.91. That's barely higher than Forest's. So what does that tell us? It means Forest defense was brilliant at forcing City into taking really low-quality shots from bad positions. And this is where we get to the heart of how Forest stayed in it. Defensively, they were just immense. Look at these numbers. A 75% success rate on tackles, winning almost 55% of their duels, and they made twice as many interceptions as City. That's not luck, you know? That's a super disciplined, aggressive, and frankly, brilliant defensive showing. And right at the center of all that hard work was Elliot Anderson. The guy was an absolute monster in the midfield. He won a joint-high 6 duels and led his team in defensive actions. He was the perfect embodiment of Forest's entire game plan. Fight for every ball and just try to break up City's rhythm. So you've got City's total control versus Forest's incredible resistance. Now let's look at how that tactical battle played out and gave us the 3 goals that decided the whole thing. The whole story of the game was really written in the second half. City finally broke through right after the break, but Forest hit back almost immediately. It all came down to a late winner for City. What a dramatic 45 minutes. City's first goal felt inevitable. Johnny Randers was the one to get it, but really, that goal was the result of all that constant pressure finally finding a crack in that super stubborn Forest defense.
But Forest's answer? It was like a textbook drawing of their entire strategy. Just 6 minutes later, Omari Hutchinson scores from a lightning-fast counterattack. That was their game plan, executed to perfection. Absorb, 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 and then bam! Strike with speed and precision. So, in the end, what was the difference maker? A moment of pure quality from a set piece. You know, in a game where both teams' strategies were kind of canceling each other out in open play, it took a perfect corner from Phil Foden, a great header from Joshua Guardiol, and a sharp finish from Ryan Cherki to settle it. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the big picture. Why was this scrappy, hard-fought 2-1 win so incredibly important? It's all because of this. That victory, those 3 points, launched Manchester City past Arsenal and put them at the very top of the Premier League table. When the title race is this close, every single point is just absolutely massive, no matter how you get it. And what about Nottingham Forest? Well, despite that heroic effort, the loss keeps them right where they are, hovering just above that dreaded relegation zone. It's a tough pill to swallow, and a reminder that sometimes in this league, being brave just isn't enough to get you the points.
So, at the end of the day, it leaves us with a really interesting question, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got City's total dominance on paper, all the stats pointing their way. But on the other, you have Forest's pure tactical grit and resilience that almost got them a result. It really makes you think, in a title race this tight, what's more important? The overwhelming statistical advantage or that gritty determination to stay in the